Just adding a wee bit more detail, such as some cornice in the living room that we can see here, and a backsplash panel in the kitchen, with a few simple products. So if you go to Rendering and Render Setup, and go to your Common tab, we'll just change the output size, so I'm going to change the height to 2700, and because our image aspect is locked, the width will change accordingly. If you go to Render Output, go to Files, we're just going to save this. We'll call it Depth of Field Hallway, and save it as a Radiance image. Just keep Use Standard RGB channel selected. So if you go to your V-Ray tab, and under Frame Buffer, ensure this is enabled. Under your global switches, turn on displacement, as a lot of objects in the scene have displacement. Under Image Sampler, just keep Adaptive DMC. Under our DMC options, I'm going to change the max subdivs to 25. Under Colour Mapping, ensure your gamma is set to 2.2 and it's on linear multiply. I'm going to change the mode to colour mapping only, no gamma, so we can apply our own gamma in Photoshop. Under Indirect Illumination, my primary bounces I'm going to set to Brute Force. The main reason is that Brute Force preserves a lot of detail, and we have a lot of detail in our cornice and skirting and architrave doorway detail. Just leave secondary bounces as light cache. So the Brute Force GI, I'm going to set the subdivs to around 50. One disadvantage of Brute Force is it does introduce a bit of grain into the image, but sometimes the grain gives a more realistic look to the image and it's not perfectly clean. So we'll leave that at 50. Under light cache, I'm going to set my subdivs to 1500, like so. Number of passes I'm going to change to 24 to suit the machine I'm rendering on. And just to speed up rendering a bit, I'm going to use light cache for glossy rays, as we have quite a few glossy materials in the scene. I'm also going to change the filter here to fixed at 0.04, as I find it gives a cleaner look to small details such as skirting. So if we go to our settings tab, I'm going to change our noise threshold to 0.07. This will reduce noise and work with the DMC sampler, max and min subdivs to reduce the noise. Global subdivs multiplier, I'm going to set to 2. This may increase the render time a bit as it's doubled from the standard 1 which it's previously set at. That's okay. Under your V-Ray system, I'm going to change my dynamic memory limit to 53,000 as I'm rendering on a machine with 64 gig of RAM. Next, go to your render elements, and we're going to add some elements. So we'll add a V-Ray extra textures, we'll add V-Ray reflection, V-Ray specular, and V-Ray Z-depth. So under your Z-depth, just scroll down and you'll see your min and max. So what's this going to do? If I change this to around 5.5 meters and change the max to around 8.5 meters, between 5.5 meters away from the camera to 8.5 meters, it's going to start blurring the image. So using this as an element will give us a wee bit of control in Photoshop if we don't really want to focus on the background of the image, such as maybe the kitchen in the living room. So if you scroll back up to your V-Ray extra textures, just scroll down again to a texture where it says none. Select none, and we're going to add a V-Ray dirt in here. Just open your material editor and drag this V-Ray dirt into a slot. Make sure it is an instance. I'm just going to change the radius here to around 30mm, and this will render dirt in the corners of our image, just like an ambient occlusion. So just close that. So I'm pretty happy with these settings. And one thing we might want to do, if you've never done it previously there, let's go back to your frame buffer, and you can save the element channels into the same folder as your image. So we'll just call this depth of field elements and save that as a .hdr. You can always save them from the V-Ray frame buffer itself, but this just ensures that and saves a wee bit of time. So I'm just going to go ahead and render these, and in the next lesson we'll open them up in Photoshop and just carry out a few minor tweaks on the images.